Hello, welcome to Anatomy and Physiology for the summer term of 2020. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a great holiday weekend. My name is Molly Baxter and I'm your instructor for this term. Here we are in class and you can see there's some links here. What I've noticed in the past is that sometimes students print these out and then don't actually read them. So it's really quite important to read through this material so you know all the rules of the class and how to be successful. First of all, you need to take this enrollment key quiz. You may have taken this before, perhaps not. If you're new to the college, let me know and I can help you with things that might be confusing at first. Every time you transition to a new learning management system or a different class, things are always a little bit weird and it does take a couple weeks to get used to everything. So just take this quiz right away. This is our notice that you've entered the class, and if you don't take it, I'm required to drop you, even if you're attending class. Okay, so once you've taken that, register for your online assignments. Now these online assignments are at My Lab and Mastering at the Pearson website, and you click here and you can enter your access code. If you didn't purchase an access code from the bookstore, you can use your credit card to enter that. You'll have access to an e-text once you've entered into that program, so you don't have to buy a textbook. You can just use the e-text. If you have any trouble getting into that, contact me. Maybe I can help you, maybe not. I'll do the best I can. It's something we can talk about on Wednesday. Wednesday is our first class from 9 to 10. Here are the class announcements, and already there are two announcements in there. There is the welcome announcement and there is the week 1 assignments announcement. So you want to make sure that you read those announcements. And if you can, set those announcements to go directly to your smartphone so you can just check them every day. Here's my contact information. It's basically email, but I have all of your phone numbers and I would like to use the app Remind. I will send the notice about the Remind. It will come to you on your phone as a text, and then you just respond to that. And then you can use Remind the entire term to contact me, and I can get back to you right away. If I'm not online and in the class, I don't get that. I don't get your notice. But on my phone, if I've got my phone with me, which I usually do unless I'm in the water or exercising or cooking or whatever, I get the notice and I respond as soon as I can. Okay, so here's our addendum. Now the addendum, yeah, I would read that addendum. It tells you that we have a lecture midterm and a lecture final. It tells you we have a lab midterm and a lab final, and it gives you the percentages of each of those that apply to your final grade. Due dates is in calendar format, and when you get that due date schedule, you will see that the first assignment is due Saturday. It's not really an assignment. It is just a sheet that you need to fill out and submit. And that's called Lab 00. And then the following week, next week, is your first lab. It's not real challenging, that lab. It goes hand in hand with Chapter 1, and Chapter 1 is so filled with terminology about anatomy and physiology that this lab will help you learn those terms. You do need to learn all those terms. Here's an icebreaker. You'll want to respond to that icebreaker. For the testing situation, we are using Respondus Lockdown Browser that prevents students from cheating during their tests. Students think, well, I can cheat on a test and pass the class, but in the end, even if I let every single person cheat, in the end, once you get to nursing, you're just out of luck. You can't cheat there. There's no way. So you really need to improve your skills and get to the point where you can get into nursing on your skills and therefore be successful in your nursing program or whatever program you're going to get into. So let's look. Here are some PowerPoints. Here are resources, and clearly you won't know if the resource is any good unless you click on it. So I would suggest you read through a lot of these resources and see which ones will be useful to you. In this class, it is the foundation of any medical career, understanding the body, and there's no way to understand it without putting the time in. Now, time is going to be difficult for you. This class is condensed into half the length of time. Our terms on campus are 16 weeks. This is 8 weeks. Normally, you would spend, for every hour of lecture, you'd have to spend about 2 hours of study time. While there's no lecture, there's narrated PowerPoints. So for every hour, you'd spend 3 hours of study time. And instead of 3 hours a week, it's 6 hours a week. So that's 12 hours of study time. And that's minimal. That doesn't even include the lab work. So you're going to be spending easily 20 hours a week on this class or more. Be aware of that time commitment. It's the same way all over the world when people take anatomy and physiology. It's a challenging topic and you have to put in the time. But seriously, if you can find the time to put into it, you will be successful. It's a time thing. So look at these resources. There's a Quizlet here that I've made up for the class, particularly for each chapter, and that should help you. There are drills, tissue slides. There are apps you can purchase for your phone. There's so many different ways to study. Now, one thing about the dynamic study, or the My Lab and Mastering assignments, in that assignment is also another assignment called the Dynamic Study Module. Now, for each chapter, there are 3 or 4 of those. They are not required, but doing them helps you pass the class. You can do those on your phone, so you can sit down for 15 minutes at break and spend 15 minutes on dynamic study modules. And I do suggest you study in bursts of time. Don't sit down for a whole day and study anatomy and physiology. It just won't work. I know. I did that in college. I did it all the time. I'd spend hours and hours, and it was pretty useless. I know much more. I know much more about studying now, and I would definitely do things differently. So you'll want to read through every week. We're going to have a paragraph of what's due that week. Now, week 1, it says chapter 1, but week 1 also includes chapter 2. So we're covering 2 chapters a week instead of 1 chapter a week. So this first week and a half, it's a longer week. It's a week and a half to get you started and up and running. You need to read all the links in the class so you know what's going on. You will be lost if you forget this step. And read through this announcement every single week. I will post a video announcement to go over it each week. There's a practice test for Respondus Lockdown Browser. You can take that. This tells you when your labs are due. The online assignments are due. The chapter tests. So this would be 2 separate tests, one on chapter 1 and one on chapter 2, and each test is 30 questions. And because you're using Respondus Lockdown Browser, I don't have to limit the amount of time. Now, here are some tips on how to learn chapter 1, what to learn from chapter 1, the narrated PowerPoints for chapter 1. So let's look at those. And so for each chapter, I have narrated some PowerPoints. And you really do want to listen to these. You can listen to, if you drive any long distance every day to work, you can listen to these while you're at work. And so it looks like chapter 1, we've got 4 PowerPoints. They're about 10 to 15 minutes apiece. They tell you what's most important in the chapter and really what to study or what not to study. For each chapter, I give an outline. I give down here, I give a things to know that I've written up. And so the outline and the things to know and all the notes that you take on your reading and the narrated PowerPoints, those will all become your study guide for the midterm and the final. So here's Lab 00. You have to click on that. You do not need your lab kit to complete this. Here is read this before taking your first exam. Here is a review quiz show. It reviews some of the material from chapter 1. And here's chapter 1 test, which closes at midnight on the 7th. So be aware of your dates. It will close on the 7th. And then chapter 2, this is a repeat of what was above. And then here's chapter 2 information with the lab document and things to learn, things to print out and learn. So you can ask questions about any of this during class on Wednesday. It's a lot to get started with. However, you have to get started right away. It's fast and furious. Get started reading that chapter as you're looking over all of the course requirements, and make sure you spend some time on it so you can ask me some good questions on Wednesday morning. So that's all I'm going to say for today. Anything else we can cover in class on Wednesday. And I hope you have a great afternoon.